Hi, this is Scott Allen, and this module is a look at targeting mobile devices with ASP.NET MVC4. ASP.NET MVC4 includes some new features to help you build applications that look good on smartphones and tablets. These features include a new mobile project template and the ability to render a different set of views for different types of devices. MVC4 also includes a feature called browser overriding, which allows you to control exactly what a user is going to see from your application regardless of what device they're using. These are the three core features we're going to cover in this module as we take a look at how to work with mobile devices in MVC4. If you know from the start that you're primarily going to target mobile devices with an MVC4 web application, then you can use the new mobile project template. The mobile project template creates a site that has about the same content as the internet project template. So it has a register and a login view and an account controller, but all of the content and the display is optimized for mobile devices. In Visual Studio, let's go ahead and create a mobile MVC4 application so we can see what it looks like. And while the Solution Explorer is getting ready, let me show you what an internet application looks like when you do File New Project. This is the content that you get by default. Now our mobile application is ready. Let me go ahead and hit Control F5 to run that, and we can compare these two and see that the mobile version is really optimized for small devices that you interact with using a finger instead of a mouse, so the buttons are larger, it's easier to click, but they have about the same content. You can log in and register in the mobile application. You can log in and register in the desktop or the internet application. And as we'll see, the markup is very similar also. But let's take this URL and put it into a mobile emulator, the Opera mobile emulator. So this is the internet site running on the Opera mobile emulator. And now let me take that URL and compare these two also, just so you can see that the mobile application project template is really trying to give you something that'll still work on a screen size that is smaller. In this case, we're using a screen size in this emulator that simulates a phone that's 240 pixels by 315 pixels. But it's also working in the desktop browser in the background there because it's just HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So it's going to look good on a mobile device, but also work still in a desktop browser that's using a full screen. And just to be clear, what I'm showing you is two different web applications. One is built from the Internet project template, and one is built from the mobile project template. Later on, we'll look at how to support both desktop and mobile browsers from the same single application. But for now, let's take a quick peek at what the code and structure is that the mobile application template gave us out of the box. If you've done any work with ASP.NET MVC before, then the solution created by the mobile project template will be very familiar. You still have folders for controllers, models, scripts, and views. Inside of the controllers folder, I can still find an account controller and home controller. These have pretty much the exact same code as the home controller and account controller produced by the internet template or the intranet template. And the views folder will still have a shared folder with a layout view inside that the entire application can use. And so this is all very structurally similar to what you'd see in any other starting MVC project. The secret to the mobile site is the jQuery mobile library. This is a script that you'll find in your scripts folder when you create a new project through the mobile template. It's installed as a NuGet package, so if you ever need to update your jQuery mobile reference, you can just right-click on the project and look for an updated NuGet package. And even if you haven't worked with jQuery mobile before, you can probably tell just from the name that jQuery mobile builds on top of jQuery, and it provides things like touch-friendly widgets to make mobile applications easier to build. I'm not going to go into any detail about jQuery mobile in this module, but if you're interested, you can see my jQuery mobile course on pluralsight.com. I'll just point out that the layout view includes the jQuery mobile script, since jQuery mobile would be something you'd use throughout the application, and the layout view instantiates jQuery mobile widgets using data dash attributes. Here you can see the page, the header, and the content area. This is generally how you work with jQuery Mobile. It can be a very declarative programming model. And what I could do is come in and add another anchor tag here in the header, something that points to pluralsight.com and has the text Pluralsight. Then I'll just save that view. We'll refresh the home page in a browser, and there you can see that it has become a button here in the header area. That's just a jQuery Mobile convention and something that you can change, but the idea is it will go through and replace your links in the header with buttons that are easier to push on with a finger when you're working with the site on a phone or on a tablet. So this is the starting point you can work from with a mobile project template, and it's all the same from an ASP.NET MVC4 perspective. You're just building HTML for the client, and there's nothing you need to do differently on the server or inside of your project. What's going to be different is how you use jQuery Mobile or other client-side libraries to create these widgets and give your site a more natural mobile feel. So next, let's look at a slightly more challenging scenario of supporting both desktop and mobile browsers from the same application. MVC4 has a feature called Display Modes, and with this feature, the runtime will select a view for you depending on the browser making the request. Without getting too deep into the details, here's how it works. Let's say you have two views in the Views folder for the home controller. One is named index.cshtml, and one is named index.mobile.cshtml. So it has the word mobile before the cshtml part. And let's say the home controller tells the runtime to render a view named index. The runtime will look at the browser making the request and figure out what it is just by looking at the user agent string and determine if that browser is a mobile browser or not. So for example, if the browser is Opera Mini or Safari on the iPhone, then the runtime will say, yes, it is true that this is a mobile device. And since there is a .mobile.cshtml view available, it will render that view. On the other hand, if the request is from a desktop version of Internet Explorer, the runtime will say, no, this is not a mobile browser, and it will render the index.cshtml view. If there was no .mobile view, it doesn't matter if the browser is mobile or not. The index.cshtml view will render like it always would. This is conceptually what display modes will do, and you can use this feature to provide a mobile-optimized view for your mobile devices. That means you can keep the same model, the same controller, the same application, the same business logic, and still have a site or application that works on both desktop browsers and on phones. And since this feature, display modes, will work with any type of view, it also works with layout views and partial views. That means you can even reuse as much of your view markup as you can and just optimize where needed for mobile devices. Let's see how this works. What we're currently looking at is an MVC4 application that was created from the Internet project template, and it's running in both Opera Mobile and Internet Explorer. And currently we don't have any mobile specific views in the application, so we're sending the same content to both browsers. It looks identical here, except for the fact that Opera Mobile is a lot smaller viewport, so it's laying out the content a little bit differently. What I'd like to do is use this new display modes feature to create a mobile optimized view for Opera Mobile, and I'll do that not with a regular content view like an index view, but with a layout view, because remember, this feature applies to any type of view. The easiest way to do this is just to copy the existing layout view, and I'm going to paste it back into the shared folder and then rename it so that it is _layout.mobile.cshtml. And let's make some changes in here so that the output looks a little bit different. Let's get rid of the CSS file that's being injected into the page. Chances are we might want a completely different CSS style sheet for mobile devices. Let's get rid of the logo just to make it look a little bit different. Let me just put the word mobile here so we know this is coming from a mobile view. And I'll just save that view. The mere presence of that view will allow it to be rendered on mobile devices, and we will refresh Internet Explorer. Should come out looking the same because it's still going to render with _layout.cshtml. But if I refresh here in Opera Mobile, then that's different. We've got rid of the logo. We have the word mobile here. We don't have any styles applied. And now we have an application that can look different in mobile browsers compared to what it looks like in a desktop browser. And I should point out that this is just one approach that you could use to achieve this effect. You could also not have any mobile views and just rely on CSS media queries in your style sheets to style the existing markup so that it looks better on a mobile device. Or you could simplify the existing views so they look okay on both the desktop and mobile browsers. But display modes really give you the opportunity to build an alternate presentation layer when needed and optimize the mobile experience. And you still get to reuse the rest of the application. So all the controllers and models and business components, they don't have to change. One question you might be asking at this point is, how does the runtime figure out if a browser is a mobile browser? And the ultimate answer to that question is that by default, the runtime uses an ASP.NET browser capability provider to determine if the browser is mobile. This is an area of ASP.NET that is extensible and configurable. By default, it relies on browser files that exist in the Windows Microsoft.NET Framework version config/browsers folder. Inside of here, you'll see a number of browser files. If we open one up, we can see that this is one that describes the browser capabilities for the Opera browser. So if the user agent matches Opera, then we'll say that it has all these capabilities listed up here. And by the way, is mobile device, that's the key that we're looking for display modes, that value is false. But if we scroll down a little bit, if this is Opera Mini, or if this is Opera Mobi, not to be confused with the DJ, then for these particular devices, is mobile device is true. So if you want to customize what is mobile and what is not mobile, or what view renders for a particular browser, you can plug into ASP.NET at the browser capabilities layer, or you could also manipulate the display mode configuration, and that's a lot easier. We'll take a look at display mode configuration next.